Alright folks, thanks for joining me for another one. I've had a ton of questions, a ton. And some folks have figured it out for themselves, some people kind of already knew. And don't mind the nook making noise over here. You be quiet. But you know, whether it was a private message or a comment on a YouTube video, I've even had text messages from friends and family asking questions on where do I get my stuff. And a few particular items were more common than others, but I figured I'd do a video and kind of talk about what I have for 18th century type stuff. Some of it really isn't, but most of it is. And just run you through that so I don't have to keep answering the same questions over and over throughout the series. Not that I mind answering questions, but the same one gets a little repetitive, you know. So down at the bottom I have it's a leather strap with a piece of twine on it, or a piece of rope rather. It's just a tump line. I got that from a friend of mine some years ago. So I use it with my bedroll, obviously. The next I have a canvas bag. It's my tool bag that Malcolm, the hidden woodsman, made for me a while ago, a couple years ago anyway, something like that. So that's all my tools, my sharpening stones, my spoon, knife, and things like that. The next leather satchel, I've posted videos of this all laid out, not videos, pictures on Instagram. So this is my hussif or housewife, basically just a sewing kit, but the the bag, or whatever you want to call it itself, I made from leather, and just a leather twang or leather thong on that to close it up. On the bottom, underneath this stuff, I have a backpack, or whatever you want to call that, knapsack, whatever. Honestly, I can't remember where I got that, but it is period correct. It's got the pewter buttons on it and the whole bit. Very, very nice. And the straps are long enough, not really adjustable, but they're long enough to where I can attach a bedroll to the bottom of that, so that works out pretty well. A leather belt pouch with all kind of bone work on it for the enclosures and cinch up straps and whatnot. I got this some years ago as well. This is a phenomenal handcrafted by Pat Giardian, I think his name is. It's definitely Pat. I don't know how to pronounce his last name very well, but again, I've posted pictures of this stuff. It has a tobacco tin with the lens. It's pretty much a fire kit, that sort of thing. Not really 18th century, but it could be. It's handcrafted, all materials they would have had, you know, in the time, and they certainly used, especially the natives. But I love this thing. Moving up this side, I have officers. Portions of an officer's mess kit's just a knife and a fork. And then I have a horn, fork, and knife. I have a Skinner knife. Pretty much everything in this row as far as utensils I got from, used to be Jas Townsends and Sons, now it's just Townsends. But awesome knives. All the curly maple ones, these four here. I think the only one I'm missing is the patch knife to date, but all of these are Jeff White knives, and that's one I get asked a lot. Hey, where'd you get that knife? Where'd you get that knife? So those are definitely Jeff White knives. He makes them for Townsend's, has for, you know, quite a while, but very, very fond of those. We'll come back to this. This is a tomahawk. It's made by Two Hawks, I believe. I got this one from the Pathfinder store, you know, quite a while ago as well. Clay pipe. This thing's hand-fired, handmade. It's got a removable reed stem, typical of the period. You know, they'd be put in a bowl, and anyone that went into a tavern could just take it out for free, use it, and then they'd just nip off the end, you know, prior to using it, so you don't use it after somebody else did. But now as it got short, you just replace the reed stem. But this is pretty nice. I had another one that was all clay. It broke in my pack a while ago, probably 4 years ago now, but that's pretty nice. I have a couple tins here. One, again, I've posted pictures and pretty much all this stuff on Instagram, so if you don't follow me there, check it out. There's tons of pictures, you know, other stuff too, not just 18th century, but I've posted pictures of all of this for sure. One's just a pocket spice kit. The other one is a materia medica. You know, it's got some medicinal herbs and whatnot in it. I have a period pencil with a journal. Moving on, a pewter bowl, a pewter plate, a horn spoon, an ointment jar I use for spices in my cooking videos and whatnot. I have 3 of these actually. 2 of them are tied up at the moment for the next video, but again, all Jas Townsend, the tins as well, the journal, the pencil, the pipe, all that from the Townsends. My clothing, everything I'm wearing right now, this is a fur felt hat that I like very much. They come huge. I trimmed like 4 to 5 inches all the way around off of this thing. It was huge. But that's so that you could fold them up into a tricorn or something like that. I don't prefer that. So I bought this for my Woodsman stuff, or long hunter, whatever you want to call that. And a lot of those, pretty much everybody, like just like we are today, no different. You customize your stuff. So I trimmed mine down because that's what I like. I got brown breeches. I got straight lace shoes. I have multiple pairs of socks, from wool to cotton, different colors obviously, but my brown breeches, I got a brown waistcoat, I got an Osnaburg shirt, so I have red, blue, and green cotton socks. I have 2 pairs of brown wool socks, a pair of brown cotton socks, some Osnaburg pants that I've been wearing in most of my videos, very nice. And then shirts, these are all cotton I believe. Hey Nanook, hey, do you mind buddy? I'm trying to make a video, thanks. So 3 cotton shirts. One is just off-white, and then we have the red check and a blue check. Pretty typical, you know, work type shirts back in the time. Moving on to hats. Got the work style hat that you've seen in videos recently, again from Townsend. Pretty cool, so you don't have to wear this big thing all the time, and it was different depending on, you know, what status you had back in those times. But the next 3 hats are all handmade, knit, all wool. So 2 orange ones, one's regular orange, one's fire orange, then I have a brown one. These were all made by a good friend of mine, Chris Putnam's mom. Boggins for Noggins was the company name. I don't know if they're still doing it or not, but 3 of my favorite hats right there without a doubt. Certainly in the winter time. So also a neckerchief. This one is white silk that I wear more often than not. This one's black, different style. It's not as big, and it just ties around in the back. I don't really use this one often, if I'm being honest. Just a different style, I guess. So off to my left, your right, I have a hunting frock. Awesome awesome piece of clothing right there. Again, for my woodsman, long hunter type stuff. And then under that, didn't take it out the last time I wore it. Actually, I'll just toss that to the side because we're going to get back to that stuff. But yeah, so a brown hunting frock, absolutely awesome, very, very well made, and it's got some weight to it, so for the cooler months, it works great. The white apron you've seen, whether it doesn't matter if you're a tradesperson, whether you're cooking, woodworking, blacksmithing, whatever you're doing, either a frock they would have worn as a over everything, they would have still worn this, but wore a frock, a schmuck rather, sorry about that, over everything to keep their clothes clean, or an apron. So Townsends as well. So over here I have a brass kettle, absolutely awesome, one of my favorite pots. Pretty pricey, but we'll get to that in a second. So I have a trivet that it's resting on. I have a trammel as well. All them things are from Townsend. I have a cast iron bean pot off to the side over there, Townsend's as well, with the iron lid. I have 3 books, 2 of them are cookbooks. One of them is a Recreating the American Long Hunter, and then the Redware pie pan, all Townsend's as well. This hanging up, if you can see it, is, if I can get it off of there, was called a snapsack. So, you know, over one shoulder type of deal to carry, you know, your stuff. I handmade that myself out of canvas. So having said that, let's go to this side. So this is a market wallet. Again, out of canvas. I dyed this with walnut hulls. Handmade this one. Pretty nice. Here's another one in linen that I handmade myself. So it's got the slit in the middle. You can put stuff on either end, kind of wind it up in the middle. You can put it over your belt if you have one, throw it over your shoulder or what have you. But I made that. This one I forget what it was called, but I handmade this also out of, well, this one is muslin, I believe. But just a little flour sack or food type sack. It's got some long brain tan thongs on it. And how this was worn was, you know, around in the small of your back, tied in the front, so it was kind of out of the way. For, you know, trail food like pemmican and things of that nature. But I handmade that as well. So the schmuck, like I was talking about, that's what this is. It's really just another Osnaburg shirt that I also dyed with walnut hulls. And I wear that, you know, with my Woodsman stuff. That came from Townsend's, actually. Pair of center seam moccasins. Again, I bought the leather, I forget from who, somebody off of Facebook, like 4 or 5 years ago. Cut the pattern out, sewed them up myself, so it's 1 pair of mocks to have a spare. These ones are elk-hide, again center seam mocks, made by myself. I have a pair of leggings. These are center seam to go with my long hunter attire. Again, bought the leather myself, hand sewn by me. And these work pretty well. They actually keep you pretty warm, protect you from briars and stuff like that out in the woods. I made another pair of those in wool for the colder months. Out of wool. These are side seams, so they're worn that way. We've got some fringe on it. Cut those, made those, sewed them myself. Breech clout or breech cloth, whatever you want to call it. Out of leather again, made that myself. This is a cow's knee, so it goes over my flintlock here to keep your powder dry. Again, leather I bought off the net and I made myself. And then I have a sash in brown and yellow and garters to match, all hand woven. I got these from Townsend. So my powder horn, my beaver tail shot pouch with everything in it. I got a bunch of it. I got some English flint in there, all kinds of stuff. Bullet mold, pieces of patch, everything, the pick and the brush for your pan and your touch hole, all that stuff in there. Everything you need to maintain and keep your flintlock in working order. I have in there some extra lead, all that. I forget where I got these, if I'm being honest. I know I've bought stuff from Crazy Crow and Turkey Foot LLC as well. I don't even know if they're still around or not. I didn't buy a lot from them, so those may have come from there. And then my flintlock is a 1803 Hopper Ferry model, 54 caliber flintlock rifle. I would have rather had a smooth bore, but I picked that up at a local gun store in Mass quite a few years ago. It's awesome. The only thing I didn't talk about, it's hanging up right there, is the lantern. Beautiful piece of kit right there, absolutely gorgeous. And when all the lights are out at night and that candle's on, it looks even better. Got that from Townsend as well. I didn't really want to turn this into like a gear video. It's really not my style, but because of the loads of questions that I got and keep getting on where do I get my stuff, hey, is that from Townsend's, I figured I'd just run you through what I have and where I got it from. The whisks I made myself, that's pretty easy. The blanket that this is on is a Whitney point. It's a 4-point. I got that from an individual off of Facebook, quite a few years ago as well. I actually got two. I got that one, and then I have the red and black Hudson Bay blanket. So I got both of those together, again from a soul person. But that's pretty much my stuff. Most of the stuff I've had for years. I started doing the 18th century thing like 5 years ago, I guess it is now. So I've had a lot of this since then. Some of it I've picked up recently, but pretty happy with it. So again, sorry to draw that out and turn it into a gear video, I guess, but again, just wanted to answer some questions. So thanks for joining me, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.